The typical situation where we have to discuss the role of chemotherapy is in patients with the so-called platinum-resistant ovarian cancer. We know that for these patients, chemotherapy may actually be associated with a very low response rate, and the median overall survival for this population is around 10-11 months. So there is a clear discussion whether this patient should be treated or not with chemotherapy, or could be better just to offer palliative care without active treatment. And I think there are several considerations that we have to make, because in one side we have the chemotherapy options, the efficacy, the response rate, the progression-free survival, but also the side effects and quality of life. On the other hand, we have a patient, and depends, the age, the frailty, the performance status, the symptoms related to the disease, but also related to prior treatment, and the tumor, how big is the tumor, and how many lines of prior treatment. So it is a complex decision, really, and it is something that also we have to share with our patients, because we have to understand which are the expectation from the patients, but also she has to understand the level of efficacy of the chemotherapy and the side effects in order to decide whether to undergo or not a new line of treatment. There are data in the literature that can tell us how we can predict, for instance, if the patient is going to survive for more than 8 weeks or less than 8 weeks, and even if she's going to die in 30 days. Of course, it's not a good thing to continue treating patients until they die, and we have to recognize that it's important to stop before and to discuss palliative care with these patients. Now, it is different when you consider clinical trials, I think. So, palliative care in the real world, in our daily practice, is one thing, but then there are patients still fit enough to enter clinical trials, and I think this option should be always offered if the patient is in good condition and she can tolerate treatment. I think a clinical trial should be offered also to these patients, and we have data also to understand which regimen can be associated with really a benefit. We do have methods such as the ESMO magnitude of clinical benefit scale, which help us identify the regimens which are really associated with a clinical benefit. And usually the clinical benefit means not only improvement in efficacy, so progression-free survival, for instance, but also improvement in quality of life. So these two factors, they should go together in order to say this regimen may provide a benefit to patients. Or you may have a regimen which is associated with an improvement in progression-free survival, but also in overall survival. This is very rare in ovarian cancer, but it can happen. So if you have a benefit in overall survival, then probably this regimen is worth it, and you can propose this regimen to patients, because of course this will translate into a clinical benefit for the patients. So it is a very complex issue, and even more complex is the communication with the patients. And in fact, we know that it's very variable from patient to patient. Also, there are a lot of cultural differences. Some patients, they want to know exactly the prognosis. Others, they do not want to know the prognosis, or they prefer not to know. And then all the families around the patients, some of them are really demanding, some of them are really protecting patients. So it's really a very, very complex, and many times the physician is not always prepared or not always trained to communicate, end of life issue and the need for palliative care. It's very difficult to say, I don't have anything to offer to you anymore, but just palliation. And this is also difficult for the doctor, because we do feel like, it's what I call the omnipotency delirium that we have, and is difficult to admit that we cannot offer anything more to patients. So it's a very complex interplay between patient and doctors.